Yo, what is shaking, everybody? We are here. It's House Divided. Jeff and Chad on Orange Bloods Live. 2 days away now from Texas and Georgia. Oh, baby. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Hop into the Specs chat. Give us your super chats. We've got discussion on this game we've been looking forward to. At least I have all day long. We've got Brian Jones in the 1 o'clock hour, so stay tuned. CBS's sports. And, at this time of the year, our very own, I feel like we can say, because he shows up every week. So our very own Brian Jones will be here to talk Texas and Georgia. This is, Chad, I was thinking about this earlier today, and we'll get into the news, a little bit of news from Steve Sarkeesian earlier today. But I want to start off with this. Texas crowd on Saturday better be 1990 Houston caliber. This is the conference that Texas says that it has wanted to be in, now that it admits it's the conference that it wanted to be in. These are the type of games that they've said they've wanted to be a part of. This is the team that it says it has been waiting almost 2 decades for. There's just no excuse. There's no excuse. It's not been talked about this week at all. But it's a primetime game. The 12th man. Hey, don't sue me, Aggies. And I'm specifically literally talking to the Texas A&M University.
Need a little money. Just send some money to College Station for that.
You know what? I take it back. It needs to be like the 100,000th man. They're just at the game on Saturday. One of the characters of the game has to be the crowd. And it has not been talked about all week. Oh, by the way, it's the biggest set of recruits that will have ever been to a Texas Longhorn football game. It has every single box gets checked. And if we do the postgame show on Saturday night and it's not obvious that the crowd was on fire, shame on all of you. What the hell would it take otherwise? So, a little bit of a rant that I needed to get off my chest, Chad, but I was thinking about it earlier today. Like, it's not been talked about at all. Yeah. But Texas fans, this is what you said you wanted. This is it.
Catch, I think there's a simple answer for me as to why. And I think you're right in a way. There hadn't been a lot of discussion, but I have heard now you, Jason Sukumel, Alex, I believe. I'm not sure if I've heard Anwar say a version of it, but all have said a version of exactly that, of they better be this. Texas fans better be this. And I think the easy answer to why it hasn't been discussed a lot is it doesn't need to be. I really don't think it needs to be.
I think it does.
I don't think it needs to be because I think they're going to be there. I think it's going to naturally occur. I think because with Texas fans, sometimes it has to be organic. And what I've observed over the years is if the right group and the right fan base and the right team and the right helmet shows up, Texas fans don't need to be told. They don't need to be monitored.
Fine.
I think they're going to kill it.
I want to see it because I don't want to hear, well, it needs to be organic. Bullshit. No, it's a top 5 matchup. There's nothing organic about this. You can say it's organic, but I want them going to the stadium.
They will.
Saying, you know what? Here's what we're not going to do. Not once in this game will we need the scoreboard to tell us what's up.
I think they all know it. I really do. I trust Texas fans.
I've been to that stadium so many times.
You ain't never been to this one.
I was at Texas and Ohio State in 2006.
That wasn't this.
Okay.
This is the biggest show that's ever been created at that stadium. I just think I think it will naturally happen. I think they're all going to be jacked up. I think they will be ready to go from jump.
Okay. Okay.
I have no doubts.
$9.99 Super Chat. Thank you, James, for setting it off today. Don't agree with the Texas hasn't played anyone narrative. Michigan's D has 3 to 4 first rounders, and UT had no issue scoring. Mississippi State scored 31 in Athens and 13 in Austin. UGA will be without a doubt the biggest test yet. James, it's nonsense that Texas hasn't played anyone. I mean, they played 2 ranked teams. They played, at the time, a top 10 defending national champion Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Like, that counts. and they played Oklahoma, which was ranked. And I don't know if I didn't even look. Is Oklahoma still ranked this week?
Nope.
They fell out.
Dropped out.
Texas did them as dirty as we said they would need to do to cause that to happen.
Yeah.
But they were ranked when they played. Now, what we would say is Texas hasn't played a good quarterback yet. That's fair. And they haven't played really a lights out offense. That's fair. But they played teams. And yeah, I'm with you. This will without a doubt be their biggest test. But I don't disagree, James, with anything you said.
Yeah, and it's a will it be, James? Will it be a 4-quarter test? They just haven't had to deal with one of those yet, obviously. James, 499, biggest crowd ever was Bama with the 11 a.m. kick. This crowd Saturday will be insane. Book it. James, I think you're going to be right there. It is a good reminder that Bama crowd, the record that stands that may fall on Saturday, it was an 11 a.m. kick. And there was talk about, obviously, any 11 a.m., you're like, is it going to be kind of a sleepy crowd or whatever? But this is an all-day opportunity. Game day starts the morning. All the recruits that come in, like Ketch is talking about, the build-up, the 6:30 kick, the cooler temperatures, the light show, the drone show, the smoke, everything that's into it. I think it's just going to be big. And Ketch, to your point, I think what this is, it is the opportunity for Texas to kind of fully claim this whole SEC identity. Right? This is, like you said, it's the conference they wanted to be a part of. Well, how do you be a part of this conference? Do you want to just hang out? Nope. You want to compete for all of it. Well, how do you do that? You beat 2 teams. You face and you beat 2 teams. They did one of them on the road last year, and now they get this one at home, the one that made excuses back in 2018. There will be no excuses Saturday night. This is like the stamp, the SEC stamp for Texas of this is what we want and here's why we want it.
No, look, I'm just getting more hyped for this game as it gets nearer.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Sarkeesian did the strangest Thursday press deal on Zoom I have ever seen.
Okay, real quick, I just want to give everybody my perspective before you start. I am not allowed to see this Thursday thing because I haven't been put on the list. So what I do is I look at the Teams channel, like our chat, for the reactions. So Ketch, Anwar, is that it? It's just those two? Or is there somebody else? Does Jason jump in on those or Alex?
Jason, Cody, we're all – I don't know. I don't understand, Chad, why you are getting I requested you and they ignored me.
Right, they did. And again, that's not the issue here. That's neither here nor there. But the interesting part
for me SID office, stop ignoring. Chad Hasey's been in this market for 20 years. More than that. Put that 25. Man on an email list.
Yeah, 25 plus, but that's okay. So I get to watch y'all's reaction, and a lot of times all I get is, Jesus, that question? Like, are you serious? Really? Blah, blah, blah. And so I'm trying to figure out from context what it was. So I can't wait to hear if you'd like to tell the people what it was.
I got to at least say, I won't go into all of it, but what I will say is at one point, it started with somebody asking Sarkeesian, Terry over at Horns Illustrated, who it's an oddball question, but by God, Terry always kind of asks a little bit of an oddball question, and it sometimes brings the best out of Sark. So I've learned to just let Terry cook. This Terry when it gets to be asking questions. Okay.
Okay.
He said, Sark, you have mentioned that you like boxing. So, and the question was essentially, if this were a fight, how do you, he just correlated boxing with this game and basically said, Sark, give me some boxing related anecdotes on how you think about this game. And then later, Cedric Golden, he piggybacked on the boxing because Ced loves boxing.
Oh, here we go.
Tell Sark that he and Anwar talk boxing, so he asked him a follow-up boxing question related to the game. At which point, Anwar later on joked that he had a Manny Pacquiao question for Sark, but then admitted it was a joke, at which point Sarkeesian made me wonder whether he's ever watched boxing at all.
Okay.
Because Sarkeesian, because Anwar referenced Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
And Sark's reply to that was, I always wanted to see Manny Pacquiao fight Evander Holyfield.
Damn, what does Sark have against Pacquiao? Good.
Wait, what?
Hang on. Man, yeah, that might be some inner, like, I don't know, anti-Filipino politics. Like, what is happening?
Why do you want that man to fight a heavyweight?
You know what? I'm going to say it. Prime on prime, I don't think that's a great fight, Catch. I really don't. I don't think we get much out of that.
Like lions and panthers fighting each other, and I don't know. But
oh, my God. That is
so it was like boxing. And then Sark with the most random hot take I have ever heard.
You know what I'd love to see? One of those Wolverines fight like a full-grown tiger. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be – what? What are you talking about?
Sark goes to Little League games and is like, you know what? I'd love to watch Duncanville High School take on this 8th grade team.
Sark thought the Peyton Manning's SNL skit was a shoot. He thought it was real.
So look, anyway, that wasn't even that was just a taste. That was just a taste of what the reporters had cooking up Thursday. Someone eventually got around to asking an injury question, and he said, so the injury report came out last night.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Bond listed as questionable. But Sark mentioned today that he'll be upgraded to probable.
Okay.
So it looks like they're going to have their guys. And, this game's a little bit more than 48 hours away. And if Bond's going to be good, and Sark mentioned yesterday or on Monday how well he had practiced. No, he said that yesterday, I think on the SEC call, that on Wednesday he mentioned that Isaiah Bond had a really good practice. And then today essentially says he'll be probable. And all of the guys last week that were listed as probable or questionable for that matter ended up playing in the game in some capacity. Even Michael Kern held on kicks. So he wasn't well enough to punt, but did hold on special teams. So again, I think that all good news on the Texas front. They're feeling about as good as they could possibly feel. And here we go. And Chad, as we get into the discussion of, and we didn't miss any super chats, did we?
We still got one we need to grab from South End Zone.
Let's pop that up there.
Okay. There you go. $4.99. What's the last game at DKR you've attended? Have you been there since CDC has taken over? CDC is the best thing to happen to UT athletics.
Fair question. 2013 is my last game. God, it's been a decade. Work sucks. Like, I got to be grown up and write articles. And, the thing is, South End Zone Queen, this is kind of my rule. I'm going to let you guys into, this is kind of weird about me. Okay. I like as best as possible to be alone during games. And I hated sitting in the press box because media guys talk to each other, and without knowing it, one person's formulated thoughts, once they're said out loud, they end up like influencing the way people think about games. And this got to be a thing for me. Me and Sukamel and Sean Adams would go do practice reports back in the day, right? We'd all be there taking notes. And I would find myself having conversations with guys. This would definitely happen with Sean. And Chad knows this because I would bitch about it from time to time. Rest in peace, Sean. We all miss you. But Sean would sometimes hear me, and this could sometimes happen with me as well, but I would say something and Sean would hear it, and it would be part of then the Sean conversation because it's part of the general conversation. So coming out of old practice reports, I hate being around other people because I don't want people to impact my thoughts on what I'm watching. And I don't want them to piggyback off of things that I might be seeing. So weirdly, for the last decade, self-isolation is generally my preferred method. So I haven't been to a game since 2013. Before that, basically every home game for the almost 20 years before that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
you know what? To be fair, touche. Haven't been to a game in person since CDC took over.
Yeah.
I know they do different things.
And he's a reason to catch. He's another reason I have no issues. Now, South End Zone Queen, in terms of my answer, it may be, I don't know if it's catches year of 2013. I honestly can't remember exactly when the last time, because again, for me, work a lot of times was, being at a watch party, like we're going to be this weekend, right? Being at a watch party, not being there. But I was down there plenty for Bevo Boulevard to see the beginning of that and how they set up things at the stadium, outside the atmosphere. And then obviously I've talked to a lot of people who are inside and then see everything that's there from start to finish. That's another reason that I trust that you guys are going to be nuts.
My last tailgate was like 2 years ago.
Because all I keep hearing, Catch, from fans, I can't remember the last time I heard, and Texas fans are honest in certain ways. I can't remember the last time I heard a Texas fan bitch about somebody told me to sit down. It was quiet. What do
you normally hear? There's always conversation about between the third and the fourth quarters, like the light show, the drones. That is a moment.
Since they dialed that in, though, since they figured out what they wanted to do, I haven't heard complaints about the smoke or the drones. I'm the only one that complains about the song choice, but the song works.
Did they kill all of the old people?
Did they what?
They killed all the old people.
I don't know about that, but,
Or they just got too old and decrepit to go to the stadium anymore?
I think the drones just have lights on them, Catch. I don't think they have, like, weapons. I don't think drones
No, but I'm just saying, I think all of the old blue hairs that the stadium on the west side certainly used to be known for.
Right.
I think don't stand up, sit down.
I think it's a higher energy level. South End Zone Queen described it. She said she's been to all the games this year. She said it's been rocking every game.
Okay, well, I don't want it rocking. I'll tell you what I would take, though. Someone made a point in the chat, and I think they're exactly right. 2022 Alabama is regarded as a top 5 all-time crowd game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an 11 o'clock game. And it was, you could hear it on TV, and everybody that was at that game came back and said, holy shit, was the crowd amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Like, I'm not saying that the crowds have been bad. What I'm saying is I want it to be a character in the game where it's like, this place is just on fire. And it was, I don't remember who made the point, but whoever said it, 2022 Alabama, if you could bottle that up and take that Saturday night, that person has their finger on exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that the crowds are bad. What I'm saying is Saturday night should be a top 5 crowd game in the history of Texas football, and where it was a different time and place, I know, because 2006 was a long time ago, but the last time there was a home game kind of like this, right? Texas #1 in the country and playing Ohio State. It was a bad crowd game. Just like, and I think I remember sitting on the west side, like 45-yard line in that game, and remember thinking that I thought it was going to be epic, and then it wasn't for whatever reason that night. And part of it may have just been, but it didn't start out great either. It just was a little flatlined. And it was one of the things I always thought about that game was that what Texas needed was a crowd to carry that team that wasn't as good as Ohio State. It needed, and Ohio State took a crowd that wasn't really up for it out of the game before it ever really got into it. So anyway.
Yeah. And we got this just on the topic. ATX Bates just sent it in, $9.99. The crowd needs to control the momentum. When Georgia punches, don't get quiet and turn into rabble. Get loud AF. Get off your ass and push momentum back in Texas's favor. Set a new standard.
Chad, this is a Georgia team that in 9 years under Kirby Smart has never won a game like this on the road. They've never beaten a top 5 team. They've never beaten a top 10 team in 9 years. Now, it doesn't happen a lot. They've only played 2 top 5 teams. That was Alabama both times. Mm-hmm. They played 2 other top 10 teams. Kirby is 1-3 all time. No, he's 0-3. Excuse me. He's 0-3 all time against the top 10 on the road. And that includes Alabama this year. His best win is at number 11 Kentucky a couple of years ago, 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I don't have that year right. I'm not looking at what I looked up right in front of me. And I think he's 2-5 all time against top 15 teams on the road. So it's a quarterback in Carson Beck that when they traveled to Alabama, they flinched in front of that Alabama crowd. That crowd was a character in that game, and you could feel that there was a momentum surge. This isn't a Georgia program under Kirby Smart that accomplishes what has never accomplished, quite frankly. It's not like, oh, they rarely accomplish it. They've never done it. They've never gone on the road in a game like this under Kirby and won. So consequently, this is odd because Texas, when Sark first started, they were losing all of their road games. And it was like Sark and Texas aren't good on the road. That was a thing. Then they went to Kansas State in 2022. And Quinn and the Longhorns win that game, really kind of saved and salvaged that season. And since then, at Alabama and at Michigan. So Sarkeesian in far less time has beaten a top 5 team on the road, has beaten 2 top 10 teams on the road, and has a 3-1 record on the road against top 15 teams, whereas Kirby is 2-5. Just weird data. Do with it what you want to. Kind of odd, though, that in a very short amount of time, Sarkeesian's Longhorns have become road warriors, if you will. And it's just not what Georgia has ever really done under Kirby. It actually, Chad, I'm picking Texas to win this game by double digits, 37-27. It kind of, and Vegas, that's not crazy. Vegas has this as a 5-point game right now. The number is moving up.
Yeah, went up to 5.
It's not wild to say that, people thought I was wild last week when I thought Texas would win by 4 touchdowns when the point spread was 14, moves up to 17. It ends up being a 31-point game. The point spread is 5. I think it might be 10. I think, and this is where we can move into the all-22 discussion, Chad, because I think there's some really interesting conversation to be had about this. Texas is better than Georgia. And I didn't think I would be saying that when the season started, but they are discernibly better than Georgia. And barring a bad performance, and Texas hasn't put in probably a B-plus performance in a few weeks. They didn't do it against Mississippi State. I don't think they really did it against Oklahoma, certainly because of the offense and not the defense. But if they B-plus or better their performance, they win this game. They're better than Georgia. They have better personnel. At least, if nothing else, their personnel is definitely playing better than Georgia, almost at every single position. I'm really confident that Texas will beat Georgia on Saturday night.
So coming up, Ketch will tell you how many out of the 22. It was 18, I believe, last week for the Texas OU
19.
game. 19 of 22. He would take the Texas guy over the OU guy last week. He will get you this week's number. Before you do that, Ketch, couple quick things. First off, thanks to over 460 folks that have jumped into the Specs chat. We appreciate you. I'm really going to thank a couple of you here in just a second. But before that, just a reminder about a great place to go eat, and it's called Taste on Main. Downtown Buda, these are the folks that bring you Hayes City Store. It is a great little steakhouse. It is a wonderful casual steakhouse is a great way to describe it. They've got a wonderful brunch on Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 3. Might be a great way to start your day as Texas has a night game. Call and get your reservation. Hit that badass brunch. And then you got Texas and Georgia at night. Roll on over to the game. Might be a good idea. They've got the bar open from 10 to midnight every Friday and Saturday. And the food and drink are just on point all the time. Y'all have heard me talk about the Sam Elliott's mustache, the drink. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Doesn't just have Sam Elliott's name on it. It's a badass whiskey drink if that is what you're into. 116 right there on Main Street in Buda. Go check them out. Taste on Main. I also, Ketch, would like to thank the great chatters of this show because occasionally they show me that they do care about the other side of the house divided. I thought this was very sweet. Paxton saw it happen and said, Chad, your Aggies got a quarterback. And earlier, South End Zone Queen, I'm not sure how she saw my birth certificate, but she says a 4-star Helleman Kosuga 2026 class has committed to the Aggies. Catch, I don't know the name. Can you give me a quick little good, bad? You know anything about him?
He's a good player.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a good player. I always think it's easy or interesting when a school takes a quarterback this early because it always, you maybe locking yourself in isn't the right word, but this is a national top 100 guy from the state of Utah, and that's your guy. And that means you're probably not taking anybody from the state of Texas, which is always the first thing that when Texas took KJ Lacey last year, it took them out of the Keelan Russell discussion. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning of the year, they thought about, God, Keelan Russell, who's now a 5-star. Should we or should we not offer? And it was like, well, no, we've got KJ Lacey. He's been loyal to us. He's saying he's staying loyal to us. We'll stay loyal to him. My guess is that Texas A&M will do the exact same thing. Taking a quarterback from Utah, I don't know. I'm indifferent on it. It seems like a good get for the Aggies, but historically, I don't know that Utah's been a breeding ground for overly successful college quarterbacks. I don't know who else they either thought they were or were not in on from the state of Texas and the surrounding areas. But yeah, at this point, it's a good get.
There you go. Obviously, not a ton of A&M talk on the show. Just wanted to thank y'all for caring and letting me know about that. All right, Catch. In terms of the All-22, Texas versus Georgia, every position. Tell us how it ended up for you, and were you surprised by anything you found?
I didn't have any preconceived notions coming into this because you have so much respect for Georgia's talent level. Mm-hmm. I know they on paper have a more talented overall roster than Texas. They have more super blue chips, about 10 more. So, that's 5 NFL players, kind of generically speaking.
Yeah.
You had said earlier in the week that you thought it would be 14-8. That was like kind of your guess. There was you didn't spend any time on that. You didn't really have time to think about how it might work out. That's what it ended up being, 14-8.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. 14 or 15 was just the first number out of my head. I figured, okay, but that would be about it. But how it broke down was kind of surprising to me.
Well, and what I was about to say is what I didn't expect. I ended up going 9-2 on the defensive side of the ball with Texas.
Yeah.
And what I really learned in doing digging into this, Georgia doesn't have the high level. They don't have a ton of first and second round guys like they normally do.
They don't have a whole bunch of Philadelphia Eagles in training waiting to go.
Correct. And the guys, they've got Mikael Williams is listed as a first day in the NFL mock draft database. He averages out right now to the 19th pick in the first round. He has 3 tackles this season.
Wow.
A couple of those. Jalen Walker is a high second-round pick right now. If I remember correctly, he's got 1.5 tackles for loss this season. It's like, okay. Yeah, they're talented, yes, but they're not putting up numbers. They're not producing. You go look at Pro Football Focus just as hey, what do they have? And those guys aren't grading out well. There wasn't a single situation where I picked a guy over a Texas guy over a Georgia guy where Pro Football Focus disagrees with me. Now, I didn't use Pro Football Focus as my deciding, and as I told you earlier today, there were some guys I didn't even look up. You could make it easy call. I can look up Anthony Hill and his production versus his counterpart at Georgia, and it's such a wide gulf. I have eyeballs. Sometimes it can be easy. But some of these I didn't really know. 14-8, and I would say that there were 4 spots on offense that I gave Georgia the edge that you could easily flip to Texas. All three interior offensive line spots and running back I gave to Georgia, but you could make a case for the Texas player pretty easily. For instance, at running back, I gave Etienne at Georgia the edge, but if you think Texas's number one back is Trey Wisner, Wisner's been a more productive player per snap, averages more than a yard per carry, averages more than a yard per reception more than Etienne. I mean, I could have justifiably picked Trey Wisner. I didn't. So there were a few that I gave Georgia. I felt like, you know what? Honestly, Chad, I feel like I gave Georgia 80% of the true coin flips.
Okay.
And with the guys that I thought, the areas and the players I thought Texas had the advantage, there were I can't off the top of my head really think of it. Probably the quarterback position is the closest that, and I said it in my report, you know, if a Georgia fan is doing an all-22, I could understand why they would pick the Georgia guy. Certainly if we were talking about last year, but I think Quinn Ewers is the better NFL prospect. I think he's been the better player this season. Certainly hasn't had the multi-turnover games the way that Beck has, both against Mississippi State and Alabama. So I went with Quinn, but that was one of the few coin flips.
In terms of, I was trying to find the list in front of me so I could see, but you went, I believe, 2-1 in favor of Georgia at receiver, correct? You went Bond, but then you went Georgia on the other two spots, correct? You went with Smith.
Yes.
And is it Lovett?
Dominic Lovett, the former Missouri wide receiver from 2 years ago that transferred to Georgia last season.
Did that surprise you at all in the end? Because then when I was thinking of just in thinking of it, I thought, man, is there anybody of Georgia I would take over Texas? Like, was it easy for you to take those two Georgia players in terms of the receiver?
Yes.
Okay.
Ultimately, like for instance, Lovett is when they go three wide receivers, Lovett comes on the field. So he's the slot guy in the DeAndre Moore mold. He's got, if I'm not mistaken, 15 more catches than DeAndre Moore. Moore's got 11. And I want to say Lovett's either 23 or 26. I'm not looking at it right now, but yeah, it was in the end where they won their battles. And quite frankly, if Isaiah Bond weren't playing in this game, you could make a case that on an all-22, Georgia could justifiably have all three wide receiver spots. And it's not to say that the Texas guys obviously aren't good. We know they are, but it would really, I think, point to the strength of this Georgia team is their passing game. It's wide receivers, and when he's on Carson Beck, it's not running the football. And on defense, it's not making plays. I'm still stunned. We're halfway through the season. They played 6 games. They have one player that has more than 3.5 tackles for loss. They have one player who has more than 1.5 sacks. They have nobody on that team that has more than 1 interception. They've only produced 3 all season. So every other game they're getting an interception. And as a team, they've only forced 2 fumbles. It's crazy to me to think that a Georgia team with as much talent as we know on that roster, they're not making standout plays. And, you know, they've been kind of middle of the pack as a pass defense. They're 43rd in the nation in run defense-ish. I don't remember if I have that one exactly memorized into my brain, but, you know, they're okay. They've been okay on defense, but they give up 31 to Mississippi State, a ton of points to Alabama. It's not the Georgia that I thought I was going to find when I started really looking into man for man what they're doing. This isn't your older brother's Georgia team. This is not the group from the last couple of seasons. They don't have a first-round interior defensive lineman. There's not that guy, right? It's not like, oh, they've got 3 Jalen Carters and one's not even starting. Najee Stackhouse is probably their best interior defensive lineman. He's probably a 4th or 5th round pick. And he's not played this season as well as Vernon Broughton. And it's not even close. Not if you look at the Pro Football Focus grades. Production, it's a slight edge for their interior defensive linemen, and they're not named Devondre Sweat or Byron Murphy. I mean, nobody's doing that in this game, but you look at the way they've been graded game for game, and the Texas guys have just been much, much better this season. It's that way in the defensive backfield. Texas has a pretty significant edge at all three corner spots. It's the edge players. Georgia doesn't have, they've got a guy that their best defensive front seven player is their big strong side defensive end, very similar to a Barron Sorrell. In fact, their production levels are almost identical. Both have 12 sacks. The kid for Georgia has a few more tackles for loss. And that's kind of what separates in the discussion between the two, kind of the difference. The Georgia cat is also Tyron Ingram Dawkins is their best front seven guy. 12 tackles all season, 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, I think, off the top of my head. That's as good as it gets. They don't have, like, there's no Colin Simmons on that team where you go, well, he's not even technically a starter, but he leads the team in tackles for loss or sacks or whatever. They don't have the impact defensive playmakers this season the way we typically think of Georgia. And it really does explain why they gave up 31 in Mississippi State a week ago, why Alabama hit them for, 41? Texas should score a lot of points on Saturday. So then, Chad, the game becomes, can Georgia, with its quarterback and 3 receivers, can they win this game for Georgia on their own? Can they be so good that they can match Texas score for score and in a shootout outscore Texas? That's what it's going to take.
We got some chats coming in, kind of additional questions. We'll get Catch to dig in a little more on the 22. If you want to send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. Brian Jones coming up about 1:20 or so. CBS Sports has a ranked matchup this weekend. And
what's their game?
We have buy or sell. Michigan, Illinois is the 2:30 CBS game from Champaign this week. Real quick, let me remind you, if you don't have the setup you need, AV Consultations can make it happen. This is one of those weekends where you find out everything, right? We're going to find out if Texas is good enough. We're going to find out if Georgia's good enough. Catch was just talking about that Georgia defense. Do you have the screen that's good enough? Do you have the place to host the Super Bowl? There's a college football playoff going to 12 teams. Are you ready? It's right before Christmas. They're going to be home site games on your television. You need to make sure it's the right one. You need to make sure it's big enough. You need to make sure it's set up right. You need to make sure the speakers are right. Let AV Consultations handle all of that. Let them buy the TV. Let them get those speakers. Let them hide all the cords for you like they need to be. 255-8678. They've been doing this since 1988. Locally owned and operated. Check them out. avconsultations.com or call 255-8678 for the audio visual setup of your dreams as we get ready for Texas and Georgia. All right, we had, I believe,
breaking news.
Breaking news, yes.
Breaking Texas Georgia news.
Okay.
The guest announcer for Texas Georgia on game day has been let out of the bag.
I have seen some speculation in the chat. Is it confirmed? Do we know it's real?
Well, apparently Pat McAfee on his show said that Scotty Scheffler will be the guest picker on game day.
Okay, there you go. Mike threw out that question a little earlier. Yeah, the discussion started getting out. Maybe it's McAfee that is the one that let it out. So Scotty Scheffler, that'll be a decent pick. We'll see what Scotty's like as a picker. It's a little bit. You're running the risk a little bit when you go golf, because generally we're going to be, those guys are trained to keep the blood pressure and keep the heart rate level. And Scotty is about as level as it can get.
Can you imagine Scotty getting up there and just going buck wild?
That would be cool, though. We get to see a little bit of his personality. He is a very likable dude. So let's see what he does.
I want to see Scotty go up there with his chest painted.
Yeah.
Face painted.
He kind of thought that maybe
let it rip.
do like a McAfee match thing where, McAfee will always take his shirt off, put a Longhorn, have somebody paint a Longhorn on his chest, and then rip a shirt off at the end. That would be good.
Because we know in advance there could be some really funny game day signs.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Come on, guys. Let's see your Scotty signs.
That's true. And you know what? Like Chance Mock and all the people that were doing the free Scotty T-shirts right away after that incident. Yes. They're going to be showing up. They'll show up with some
I need to see some Scotty arrest jokes in the crowd.
Mike, thank you for that. Also, a quick super chat from Trent, $5 super chat. When will the Will Stone era start? I'm ready. Wow. Okay. Trent's going into the weeds of the discussion. I don't know if Will Stone is going to be a key person in this game.
Will Stone's a junior. So maybe next year, because somebody's got to be the place kicker when Bert Auburn leaves.
That's true. That's definitely true. Hang on. Did I miss that one? Nope, that was it. Okay. Catch, there's a one that came in as you were talking about the 22 that I wanted to hit because I could understand how a Texas fan would think this way, and especially if they haven't paid attention to Georgia. So Derek says, our receivers are better. Come on, Catch. Before I let you talk, Texas is the number 11 passing team in the country. Georgia's number 9. So Derek realized they make their hay throwing the ball. They're not a great run team. If they're 9th in the country throwing, doesn't this discussion have to be pretty close? All right, Catch, go ahead.
Well, look, I gave Texas the Isaiah Bond, Dylan Bell matchup, largely because Bond averages 17.6 yards per catch and Dylan Bell's 13 yards. Yeah. And he's a better NFL. There were a couple of components that went into that, but like Bond wins that matchup.
Yeah, if Bond's healthy, I'd go with Bond too.
But then then it's Matthew Golden against Smith from Georgia, and Smith leads both teams combined in receiving yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, it's got to be Smith.
You got to give him the edge over Golden.
Yep.
And then if you look at DeAndre Moore and Dominic Lovett has twice as many catches as Moore. So Moore has more touchdowns, I think, by 1. And he averages more per catch. But on the whole, Lovett is, God, he may even be their lead. No, he's their second. He's got 23 catches. But DeAndre Moore only has 11 this season. I mean, if you really wanted to argue, you could go DeAndre Moore, but Lovett is a guy that's on NFL draft radars for next season. He'll probably be a late day 2, early day 3 pick. I mean, at this point, DeAndre Moore, if you took the one big game away from DeAndre Moore, what's left the rest of the season just doesn't compare game in to game out how productive Dominic Lovett has been in this Georgia passing offense. And I think we all got to keep in mind, like the tight end matchup, so one-sided. Oscar Delp at Georgia has 5 catches.
Yeah, that's even if you go with what's the other dude's name? Lucky, what's his name? Isn't there a Lucky on their team? I had the list in front of me and now I don't have it in front of me. Lucky something or other. Anyway, they have another pretty big 6'4" tight end, but he doesn't have Helms numbers.
No, so a big part of the passing game for Texas is Bond and Helm. And Golden and Moore, more secondary targets. The thing is, if we were just talking raw talent, you'd probably have to put Ryan Wingo up here somewhere. And then maybe you just take Wingo because you'd say in 3 years from now, that guy's going to be an All-American. But he's basically averaging a catch per game at this point. I think he's got 6 catches all season. I need to go look at the team numbers. I don't have them in front of me. But, I promise I wasn't trying to screw Texas. But typically, I usually get the "come on, catcher, being a homer," and it's weird. I do the Texas Georgia All-22, and I've got Texas ahead 14-8. And again, I think it's interesting because the wide receiver, that's not the area that I actually think. For me, I think the interior offensive line. I gave all 3 to Georgia.
Yeah,
I feel bad that Texas. Did Jake Majors really deserve not? I don't know.
Well, here's the best part, Catch, and I want you to get into the interior line thing. That was interesting to me too. But if I had told you in the summertime that you were going to do this breakdown, you were going to go 14-8 in favor of Texas, and Texas fans were going to get greedy. Like that really tells us where we are this
It
week.
does.
Number one team in the country, just whipping everybody they face. Texas fans, I'm not saying they don't respect Georgia, but they've seen what they've seen. And some of them are out there with, well, wait a minute, 14 sounds good, but can I get 16? What about 18? Could I make the argument? So that tells you kind of the position we're in. Before you get to offensive line catch, another piece of information we may be able to help with. Paul says rumor is game day will be on the south lawn in front of the tower. Paul, last night on the Outsiders, we had Reese Davis on, and we asked him before catch, we asked him on the show, and he said that was the information he was getting, that it was going to be South Mall of the tower. So
great idea.
Not at the location they've been before, which I really dig that location out there on what would that be? The northeast corner up there on the lawn where they've done the, LCL concerts and stuff. So not there. So you're talking all the way to the tower and then the South Mall of the tower. That would be a hell of that's like what, graduation spot, right? For everybody that knows that's that side of the tower and everything, if I'm doing my geography right. So Paul, thank you for that. If you are planning to head down there, I always say double check Sports Center throughout like today and throughout Friday, because you're going to see live hits from the location and it'll let you lock in for sure on where they're going to be. All right, Catch. So give me a little more on middle of the line. Buckwild says, I don't understand the 3 of 5 O-line in Georgia's favor. You gave the interior guys to Georgia, and you took Banks and Campbell on the outside for Texas. Tell us what you saw when you looked at the numbers.
The tackles aren't close. I mean, Kelvin Banks blows the doors off of Ernest Green, who will be no offense to Ernest Green, he's going to play on Sundays.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to explain Kelvin Banks to anybody. The right tackle was really interesting, and this is one where I was thinking of from the Texas defensive perspective. Xavier Truss is a 6th-year player who starts at right tackle for Georgia. And to give you an idea, is context, right? On a 100-point scale where Kelvin Banks is in the 80s, Xavier Truss was in the 50s against Clemson, Alabama, and Auburn. So,
wow. Okay.
Their right tackle, when he's played big boys, has been a poor player. So keep an eye on Texas attacking Xavier Truss, the right-sided right tackle.
Gotcha.
Now, let's talk about the interior guys. It's funny, Alex. First of all, everybody brings up Alex's grades. The problem with Alex's grades is they give me extra confirmation bias for the Texas players that don't exist for the Georgia guys. Now, I can't eliminate what I know from Alex's grading of the Texas offensive line, but in doing this, it's really unfair that I know the ins and outs and the guts of 6 games of the Texas offensive line, and I really only know a passing set of knowledge on the Georgia offensive line. We don't have Alex grading the Georgia offensive line, at which point we could just use Alex's grades. Because he hasn't watched Georgia play, it's a very one-sided deal. So let's go to the interior guys. Hayden Connor had a great game against Oklahoma. And this was the closest of the two. Pro Football Focus said that Dylan Fairchild edged Connor in grading 71.4 to 67.9. But that included playing the interior players of Kentucky, which might have the best interior defensive line in the country. It might be they played Alabama and they played Auburn. So I took that into consideration. And then when you look at Cody's NFL mock draft database, Fairchild is viewed as a better NFL prospect right now than Connor. So I gave Georgia the slight edge because of a couple of different factors. Again, though, this was one that this might Chad had been my closest, along with running back, of the entire list.
The interior O-line.
This specific one with Hayden Connor and Dylan Fairchild.
Okay.
At center, this one's interesting. So I'll just say it like this. Pro Football Focus has Jared Wilson, the Georgia center, with a 79.4 grade this season. Jake Majors hasn't cracked 70 once in a game all year.
Okay.
I can't say neither are viewed as really high NFL level prospects yet. I think Jake Majors is eventually going to be a day 3 guy, and I'm guessing Jared Wilson will also eventually be an NFL player. When you not knowing a ton about Jared Wilson, I felt like, yes, Pro Football Focus's grades can be cockamamie, but in a world where I wasn't quite sure what to do, one guy was significantly rated higher than the other.
When you look at the offensive line stuff, are you able to see penalties they've committed as well? Penalties they've been called for?
Oh, I usually look at the run grades and the pass grade, and then there's a combined grade.
Because I guess when I think of Jake Majors, like those early on, there were a couple moments where, he had some penalties. So
I don't know how Pro Football Focus factors that in.
Yeah, I don't know how that's all
I'm sure it goes into the overall grade on some level. Okay, and then right guard was a coin flip.
Okay.
Micah Morris at Georgia is 71.9 at Pro Football Focus for the season. DJ Campbell is at 57.8. But DJ Campbell is regarded as the better NFL draft prospect. So one metric went one went the other. DJ Campbell's kind of been disappointing, and I think the confirmation bias may have kicked in a little bit. I've watched a bunch of Campbell this year. He's been not as good as I think we thought he would be coming off of last season. So I gave Micah Morris the edge, who again did have a pretty substantial Pro Football Focus grade. But this might have been more confirmation bias working against DJ Campbell, because the taste in my mouth right now with the way that DJ Campbell has played this season, it's not bad, but I thought we'd be talking about a guy maybe competing for first team all SEC honors, and he's been just a guy, honestly, so far this season. And that's how it broke down. I know that there might be some disagreements, but I feel like I can explain the decisions that I made. And there were a couple of coin flips. And weirdly, you'd think the guy that covers Texas would more instinctively give coin flips to the team that he covers. And I actually, in coin flips, other than quarterback, because some people may see it like that, every other coin flip went to Georgia. And it still ended up being Texas 14-8. If you take all of those coin flips and give Texas half of them, now we're 16-6. So
right. Yeah.
Again, like I said, I came out of this process really feeling like Texas is the better football team. It will have to really, I think, you can say, well, Georgia could play their A+ game. Well, what does that mean? To me, that would mean the Texas defensive secondary got grilled. The front line didn't do anything. Anthony Hill's not making plays. Georgia's running the ball in ways that they have. If this plays out the way these two teams have played this season, Texas will score a bunch of points because Georgia will allow points. And you have to believe that this Georgia group, this quarterback and his 3 receivers, can just carry Georgia to a victory. I'm not so sure that I believe they're that good. They're really good. I'm not so sure that they beat what on paper is an elite Texas defense, while a non-elite Georgia defense has to tame an elite Texas offense. I just think, weirdly, I can't believe I'm saying this about a Texas-Georgia game, But Texas has a few more beasts and a few more big dogs than Georgia does. And I don't know that that's something that we've said in close to a decade.
Texas and Georgia, give us your thoughts, your predictions. Got more information coming in on what's going on down on campus. We do also have a super chat in there. We will get to buy or sell coming up. 600 of you in the Specs chat right now. We do appreciate you for that. Also, thanks to a lot of our great partners around here, like this one. They will keep you thirsty. Actually, they'll help you if you're thirsty out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Well, weather's turning a little bit. It's a great time to think about getting out there Thursdays through Sundays. You see the setup there. I got a great idea for you on Sunday, kids. 12 to 5. Cowboys fans, you know what doesn't happen this Sunday? The Cowboys play. That's right. You're guaranteed not to lose and be embarrassed. Celebrate. Go out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Have one of those great cocktails. Have some of that great Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue. It's just a wonderful experience with friends and family. Make sure you do it responsibly, of course, but go enjoy some Hill Country. Go enjoy the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Such a good time. All right, we did have a super chat come in. Ketch, you're going to need to help me on some translation here. Jay Lee says for $5, OU was unusual for 24-inch/24-foot Quinn Ewers, but I'm just more and more convinced he won't make it in the NFL unless he can sit and develop. Thoughts? Am I missing some kind of a modern code here with those 24s? What does that mean?
OU was unusual. It's got to be 23-24, right?
They're doing like that was supposed to be a year thing?
Well, if it's 20, Jay, throw that in there just to make sure that we're,
Yeah, Jay, I'm
wrong.
I'm an old man. I'm an old man that reads that as 24 inches by 24 feet.
Yeah, but if that was 23 and 24, and then you'd think, well, that was a bit unusual. OU was unusual for Quinn in each of the last 2 years. And he's more and more convinced that he won't make it into the NFL. Jay, I've got issues with Quinn as an NFL player, but they're almost purely physical. I don't know. I personally don't know if he can stand up to the physicality of the league. That he's a little too much like Colt McCoy physically for me. That there's always going to be a James Harrison that all it takes is one. Because the thing is, we've just seen Quinn get hurt every year, and that doesn't change, and that goes back to high school. So I don't know. Like I hate to be the Debbie Downer on the Quinn NFL thing. But I will say this: I've been consistent with that for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
And I think Scott, you're right. He does mean 23, 24 because that makes sense.
That would make some sense.
The OU games have been outliers for Quinn recently, but in general, Jay Lee is saying he doesn't really have a lot of faith in Quinn. I would also say this though: I also don't have a lot of faith in Carson Beck as an NFL guy. So.
Yeah, I think they both. I'm so interested to watch this matchup on lots of levels. But they remind me of each other in certain ways. I like a lot of what they can do, but I have that question about both of them. Like, can you go on to be like a consistent starter in the NFL? I just don't know about both of them.
There's a little Brock Purdy and Carson Beck. So there's a part of me that wonders if he gets on the right team. Could he? Because the thing is, I said this about the kid at Vanderbilt that if you take Diego, yes, and you add him to Georgia's undefeated right now, probably number 1 or number 2 in the country. If you took Carson Beck and put him on Vanderbilt, they're not beating Alabama. They're a totally different team. Carson Beck as a talent needs elite players around him, and he can be very good. And he has that at Georgia. I don't think he has the arm talent that Quinn Ewers brings to the table. I think Quinn's a more talented guy. My issues with Quinn really have nothing to do with overall ability or talent. It's all about, if you're an NFL team and Quinn Ewers is your starting quarterback, how many games a year is he going to play? Because it's hard to say 17 right now. And if you're an NFL team, can you have a starting quarterback that plays 12, 13 games a year?
Right. Can
you bank on that? Can you say that's our franchise guy? That feels like a hard thing to do, So that's my concern with Quinn. I don't think if Carson Beck would really need to get drafted by the right team.
Both quarterbacks looking for big signature moments, obviously, on Saturday night. Real quick, Binks helping South End Zone Queen and others out with that schedule. Apparently, the LCL lineup is out there. 1 o'clock open, 2 o'clock the DJ, 3:15 hard proof, and 4:30 is Spoon.
And we will be going live at the 2-minute warning.
Mm-hmm.
Chad's going to – I think, Chad, I'm not going to be there, but we will have the Orange Bloods watch party at Texas Card House, $1 beers. I might still change my mind. I'm doing this thing where it's like I am in Houston. And so
right.
I got home at 2 o'clock the other night, and it would be kind of the same thing again, potentially, although I guess I could stay in Austin for the night and who knows, maybe go meet up with a bunch of people and party after Texas wins. But we will have the watch party and the postgame show at the TCH Social, $1 beers, $2 jellyfish, and ultimately more than anything else, so it's someone tell me, where's a better place to watch the game at a sports bar? The sports bar area of the Texas Card House Social is elite. And we just need to train you guys. That's it. And the thing is, that's not all of the TVs. It's not like that's it. That's just the main Big Bertha.
That's the one that's the one they tell you is the biggest in North Austin. That's that big dog. But there are other screens in the place. Absolutely.
And it's dope. Like I could have come home early last weekend. I stuck around for an extra 4 or 5 hours. Why not?
Yeah, no, we did. We both stuck around a little bit. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you regret missing the end of the LSU Ole Miss game?
No, I actually got home by the time overtime started, so okay. I was good. And I was monitoring it while I just put on the Bluetooth so I could hear the announcer.
I was wondering.
And I got to let Sean McDonough take me through it. He's one of my favorite announcers of all time, so it worked out. There was the one I did. There was an ounce of regret because I thought, oh man, it did get crazy good. But yeah, it was great to watch games. I'm going out early on Saturday to watch the 2:30 set with Bama and Tennessee, the Michigan-Illinois game. Aggie start at 3:15 against Mississippi State. I'm bringing the folks out. My parents are coming into town, Catch. Parents, we're going to be –
Neil, the answer is –
it's going to be great.
Get there early and watch Alabama, Tennessee, and A&M.
I'll be there.
And I'll be honest, it's still 50-50. There's a really good chance that I will, even though I'm saying I won't, I'm talking myself in. Every time we start talking about it a little bit, if I'm there, I'm probably going to be there at 11.
Well, and then I also, Bo Edge has told me on the Outsiders last night, Bo says once Texas-Georgia starts, he's going to need to be in a secluded location because of how much he swears. But he said he may come by early to check out TCH Social and watch some of those early games. So if you come out early, you could meet Bo Edge. That's enough reason to come out right there.
If you want to meet me and I'm out there, come out early. And I'll talk and hang out.
There you go.
When the game starts, though, I do not like to be bothered.
That's a hell of a setup right there. That is
good. I mean,
come on out, meet Catch, but as soon as Texas kicks, you're not allowed to speak to him.
I didn't say that. I kind of did.
Yeah, you kind of did. That's okay. Everybody's got their protocol.
About Bo Edge.
Don't worry, Catch.
Bo's thing is not that he doesn't want to be around people. Let me put it to you like this: if there's a Super Bowl party going on, there is always a room where the people who want to watch the game sit.
Right.
And then there are rooms where everything else is like everything goes.
But see, that's what's great, Catch, about watch parties for me, both in the radio days and now experiencing it once. And hopefully we got a lot more coming here with the Orange Bloods live stuff. I just feel like the whole room understands it. And I have yet to experience anything that I would call social hour while watch parties are going on. Okay. Like last week, people were watching the damn game. It was great.
I have.
But I didn't have to tell one person. I didn't have to tell one person to stop talking to you. I didn't think anybody talked to you too much.
You're right,
during the
but
game.
I'm telling you, I have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? You let me know. I will tackle them.
As a matter of fact, there are specific people that I'm thinking about at former watch parties at Pluckers, or what was the place? Doc's Backyard. We would do those out there. I would tell all those people, you need to come to the Texas Cardhouse Social.
I was going to say, remember, we're at TCH Social now, Catch. There's a higher level of security for some obvious reasons. If you have an issue, you let me know, and then we'll let them know.
I got to say this. I said it the other day, the wait staff game at the Texas Cardhouse Social, outstanding. It's rare that I remember everybody's names, but I remember Savannah. I remember Morgan because she was great and wore the Kansas State jersey, which I'm still, I like it when someone's like, yes, I have obscure likes and tastes. You walk into a sports bar. If we were to walk into Texas Cardhouse Social and one of the waitstaff had a Seahawks jersey on, or it'd be like, whoa,
right.
Why are you a Seahawks fan? I like to hear the stories.
Obscure likes and tastes. She was born in Manhattan, Kansas. She's a fan of a Power 4 team. It's not like she walked in with a Slippery Rock jersey on. Come on.
She said she was born in Manhattan, Kansas. I honestly had to button up and not say insulting things. She was like, it's beautiful there. And I was like, okay.
You were nice to do that. Yeah, you were very nice.
It's one of the first times in my life where I nodded my head along. I did not say, why didn't you move to Lawrence? Because if you like pretty things, that's much pretty. I didn't do any of that.
I was proud of you for that. You kept it under control. That was very good. Very good job. All right. If you want to send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. By the way, we'll get these officially out there. Zion has a 38-24. For those that maybe didn't hear it earlier, Catch, your prediction again for this game is what?
37-27. I'm going 1996 Big 12 championship game.
37-27. I have 31-24 Texas with the win. So Zion, there, we appreciate you throwing your score prediction in. If you get us a super chat, we can get to that. We'll do that here in just a second. There is one. Yep, we'll get to that super chat right after we give Specs some love, because it is the Specs chat after all.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
If you are doing your own watch party, we will miss you at TCH Social, but have a good time and get stocked up.
There's no excuse if you live in the Cedar Park area. It's
if you're in
right there.
You're in Cedar Park, you have to come see us and then just do a watch party for maybe Vanderbilt. Well, we'll be there for Vanderbilt too. You just should start coming to TCH Social for every game and get stocked up on Specs for the NFL. That's what you should do.
By the way, I feel like for the last week and a half, the Specs chat's gone out of their way to try to irritate me.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just weird little things. Like someone earlier, just moments ago, called me Jeff the Rambler. And I thought, you know what it is that we do, right? Like we talk.
Oh, don't make me go into the ice cream speech. Yeah, we don't need to do that. We don't need to have that.
My favorite one of the day, it was Orange Bloods 01, suggested that I lied about my most recent game being 2013.
Be a weird lie. That's an 11-year.
That's what I thought. Like of all the things, what am I? I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to make it political. But do I say lies all the time? That like I would lie about the. You know what? You're right. It was 13 years ago, not 11. Busted. What are we doing?
Real quick, super chat before we get to buy or sell. Catch. Juan has an interesting one. $4.99. Catch. Has CJ Baxter been with the team on games, or does he stay behind? I've never seen him on camera.
I got to be honest. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure either one. Also, real quick, Catch, on the injury report, we talked about Isaiah Bond being questionable, and Sarkeesian, as you mentioned, is saying maybe it gets upgraded to probable. I saw Trevor Gooseby listed as out. Is that new? Was that just this week?
And I'm still trying to check on what that is. He's listed as out.
Yeah, that jarred me a little bit because I'm thinking back. I'm like, I don't think that was last week. I don't remember seeing him anywhere on the list.
I've sent some texts early this morning, and I haven't looked at my phone in the last 4 hours, although it just made a sound. But it wasn't like a text message sound. It was weird. You get different sounds on your, I'm going to my old man comments of the day. My phone every app that I have has a different sound to it.
I know.
And I hate that I'm actually programmed to know, oh, that was a Teams. That was an email. That was a text message. That was a text message from my wife. That's a phone call from my wife. It's just, why can't I need the old man Sukumel ring where every alert sounds like a 1980s, phone in the wall.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for is old phone sounds. Something I would not advise, Catch, whenever you get to that moment where you're realizing maybe I need to get into my settings and change these sounds. Just don't express that around your children. You're going to feel so stupid.
I remember you brought that up.
They will make you feel dumb while they'll do like the Jimmy Fallon, computer guy. Give it to me, blah, 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 fix it, hand it back to you. Like, get out of here, old man. It's like, okay. Fine.
You know what, though? I wouldn't even be insulted by that. I almost want to be like, Haven Hendricks, take it, fix it.
Please help. Please.
10 years old, just do it.
Yes, please help me. All right. That is all the super chats I see. If you want to send us one, it will go right to the top of the list, and we will get to it. Catch, are you ready to buy or sell on a Thursday?
Yes.
Can't believe it's already Thursday. You want to go first or second?
Second.
All righty, let's start right here. Buy or sell number one. The one guy Texas cannot let go crazy for Georgia is ETN.
So, pick one of those receivers. I feel like they can't let those look. ETN's not going to beat Texas. He's not by him. I don't think there's a world where he's putting up $160 and goes for 3 touchdowns. That's not who he really is at any point in his career, and it's not who he's been at Georgia. I think the concern is that one of these receivers beasts out and puts up a really big game and neutralizes the advantage that in most nights and most games that Texas has on offense. So it's more about the passing game for me.
I think you are absolutely right. Catch, I did this one yesterday to the people, but I'm going to give it to you because it does let me brag on 85. I think it's a wild stat, too. Buy or sell, number 2. Only one Longhorn has led the team in catches and receiving yards in the same game. It's Gunnar Helm, and he's done it twice against Michigan and OU. He will make it 3 times on Saturday.
Sell, but it's I gave it some thought.
Okay, fair enough. Against the 2 ranked teams, that has been the guy that led him.
That's why I gave it some real thought. I mean,
and they whipped both those teams. I'm just wondering, could it be another pattern where if he gets saved?
I mean, it could be for sure.
I think if he goes like 6 or 8 catches for like 80, 90 yards, and then they spread everything else out, maybe that is the formula.
I wonder how they defend him because Georgia, one of the real odd things about them is how often, for instance, they have had 4 or 5 different lineups for starting lineups with one position. Sometimes it's an extra defensive. Sometimes they'll go extra defensive lineman and they're a 4-3. Sometimes they'll put an extra linebacker and they'll have 4 linebackers on the field at once, and they'll be a true 3-4. And then sometimes they'll play nickel. So they're very unconventional from game to game. I wonder, one of the things very early in this game, who do they think they need to be on defense? And who's responsible for Gunnar Helm? Because their traditional nickel guy is not great. Their nickel guy doesn't play for, his name's Jonel Aguero, doesn't play as much as Gilbo, isn't thought of. He's not as good as Gilbo. So does that mean that a guy like Malachi Starks is responsible for Gunnar Helm? And what does that look like? So, Whereas I look at these Texas receivers and they're going to get matched up with these Georgia corners, and these Georgia corners aren't as good as the Texas corners. So I feel like, and I think it's going to be a Texas receivers game because I think maybe they'll give their best players some Gunnar Helm responsibility. And I think, boy, what more could we say about the emergence of Gunnar Helm than to say, Georgia might have to take their best player, and that's how they deal with Gunnar Helm, is that they give Malachi Starks some real responsibility with that matchup. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not quite sure how Georgia defends Gunnar Helm right now. So I'll be looking forward to seeing early in the game what they do.
Yeah, there's so many good parts of this game. One of the best parts is both teams are experiencing we faced stuff, but we haven't faced that stuff this year so far. All right, Catch. Speaking of stuff, couple other games. Buy or sell number 3, 2 other ranked matchups on Saturday. Bama's going to Knoxville. Michigan's going to the Champaign Room. You take Bama and Michigan to get big road wins.
I think Alabama's it's a baby bye.
Okay.
I think Alabama goes into Knoxville and wins that game. I'm not as certain about Michigan on the road at Illinois. Illinois can score some points. In fact, didn't they play Purdue last week?
Yes.
And I think one of the real wacky things about that game was that Illinois scored a bunch of points, but they gave up a bunch of points. So I really don't even know. I don't know what I'm going baby bye, but I'm 50. I don't know what to think of Michigan. I don't know what Illinois is. And I don't know whatever they are. Can Michigan's offense?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
kind of leaning Illinois in that game. By the way, that's the CBS 2:30. We'll talk to Brian about that and other stuff coming up. Bama, Tennessee is the ABC. If you just throw it on ABC at 2:30, it goes from Bama, Tennessee into Texas, Georgia, and you're going to be pretty happy, I would think, just watching all that on Saturday. All right, Catch, we got 2 legendary birthdays to finish off with. Buy or sell number 4, Mike Judge is 62 years old today. When I say his name, you think of Beavis and Butthead.
Bye. Yeah, for sure.
That's where you go? Okay. For some reason, I go, my mind goes to Office Space immediately. I don't know why, but obviously he made his name with Beavis and Butthead for so many people. And it's back with new episodes, if you didn't realize. And finally, Catch, I know it's a world that you respect, so I want to see where you go with this one. Buy or sell number 5. Eminem is 52 today. Dr. Dre and Eminem are the greatest rap collaboration ever and the most important.
Wow.
In a world that has a few.
I mean, can't you say that I'll go by.
Okay.
Given the scope of their careers, I think the most important part, I can answer Outkast and say that the collaboration between that group made the best music. And I can make the case that it's the most important, but given the scope of Dre and Eminem's careers, Dre had Snoop as well. So Dre's had some collaborations that, but you know what? I feel very old man there because someone might throw out Drake and somebody in the last 20 years. So it makes me feel old, and it feels very mainstream to say bye. I wonder what Bomani Jones would say.
Yeah, I know. And the reason I put the most important in, I thought even older man, I thought, well, is whatever you'd say about like Rick Rubin and the Beastie Boys for the Walk This Way thing, like, would you call that more important just for the moment, not for long term, but for what it did?
I'm going to text Bo and I'm going to ask him. I'm curious. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't do is feel like I'm asking for an hour of his time. Right. I wonder if he just has an automatic answer.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, that is my buy or sell, Catch. What do you got?
Cotton says that Outkast isn't a collab, but it kind of is. It just depends on how you want to think about
That's where I would
two or more people working together is by definition a collab.
To me, when I was saying collaboration in that world, it would be like, I don't consider Outkast that because they're a group.
I understand that.
Just like Outkast and Wu-Tang and Run DMC, and that's not a collaboration to me.
It comes
That's
down to your interpretation of the word collab.
Yeah, it does.
And I was just acknowledging that there is a different. I wasn't thinking of it that way. I'm just saying that I'm acknowledging that one person could, and at which point you could think of anybody that's in a group, and go from. You could make a case that Dre and Cube together, that you couldn't have one without the other, and that their collaboration inside of NWA. Right. I don't know. Like I said, there's different ways of interpreting collab. But the more obvious way is the way that you would paint it. Nobody that's in a group can count.
Yes. And let's not bury the lead. Eminem's 52, and that makes me feel damn old. Go ahead, Catch.
I'm okay with 52 because I'm 48.
Sick. So
like,
sick.
What are my expectations for Eminem? That he has to be younger than me?
Yes. That's my expectation.
No, he's always been a little bit older than me.
Right. And he is a little bit older than me, but it still makes me upset when I see that the number is 52.
Wherever I'm going, he's going to get there first.
Yeah, he is.
So
That's true.
That to stay.
That makes me feel better.
52 I can live with. It's that 62 where it's like, fuck. Okay. Yeah, all right. Buy or sell number one. If you could take my All-22 and flip it on its head and change any of the decisions that I made, you'd actually go with quarterback and give Georgia the edge with Carson Beck.
Sell. I think I'd leave it with Quinn. Is
there one that you would flip?
I think I'd leave Quinn alone. I'm trying to think through it in my mind if there is one for sure. I mean, I think you ended up making some pretty good choices. Because you had to consider starters. I do think if there is any argument about whatever Georgia's got that would compare to Wingo, I go Wingo every single time. But obviously that wasn't the job you had. But yeah, I'll sell on the quarterback. I thought Starks needed to be the guy where he was. And no, I mean, I thought everything else ended up about right, but I wouldn't change quarterback. It's it's close, but I'll lean Quinn.
All right. Buy or sell number two. Just for the record, you think your Aggies win this weekend at Mississippi State, and they do it by 10 plus points.
Whew, 10.
I've had so many people ask me this week, Chad, what your thoughts are on this game. Yeah. And then I've had everybody's given a different reaction when I've told them, like, oh, well, he seems concerned, but I don't think worried is the same as concerned. Yeah, so I want an official statement on this.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking it very, very seriously because they gotta start showing us consistently that they can be really good. We'll see if the Missouri thing was a mirage a little bit. It was at least some form of a mirage. Games don't go that well usually for football teams. That game had everything except when we left the stadium, everybody found like an extra $20 in their pocket, like at some weird revival. So I'm going to say it ends up around 10. 16.5 is a crazy number to me. It was at 15.5. It's gone up. People are just pouring money in on the Aggies. God, I hope I'm wrong. And then A&M just trashes them by like 20. But I got a little more respect for what this Mississippi State team can do. They hit long pass plays against Georgia. A&M has given up some long pass plays this year that I'm uncomfortable with as a fan. So I'm going to need to see that all play out and so where I can believe it and catch in true road games. I've laid out some of the numbers. They've lost 4 of these in a row in October. And the last time they went here, they got 42 hung on them in an embarrassing loss. But I'll take a 10-point win. I'll trust it enough that I'll take the 10-point win.
Buy or sell number 3. You did go back and listen to that Jerry Jones audio on Sports Talk Radio in Dallas from earlier in the week. And it didn't surprise you. You weren't embarrassed. Jerry is Jerry. That was just Wednesday's story or Tuesday's story.
there's a key phrase in there. You weren't embarrassed.
I put that in there for a reason.
Yeah, that's key because
I wasn't embarrassed.
I think that's a philosophical thing. It's like, do you still look at it as you just know he's embarrassing, so you put the embarrassment away, or are you numb, but the feeling is still embarrassment?
Who am I embarrassed to?
Somewhere under the numbing of it, right? I mean, I'm going to still sell off of the definition of embarrassing because that's embarrassing. And the feeling I have when I want to go, are y'all done yet? He's 82 years old and this and that. And I go over all the list of why it's so silly. There is embarrassment there. I am embarrassed for Jerry, for the brand, for the relationship with that radio station. It was such an insulting thing to do. I really wish those guys, after having to, here's the other thing, Catch, having to interview him that many times, I really wish one of them had enough guts to just say, you know what, Jerry, if you don't want to do this interview, we'll find someone to interview. But it would have cost them on the backside. And that's why they got trapped with it. So I'll still say there's some embarrassment because it's embarrassing. Just because he's 82 and full of Johnny Walker Blue, that doesn't mean it's not embarrassing anymore, because it still is to me.
Buy or sell number 4. And Brian, we see you will do this quickly. The best peanut butter and jelly sandwich you've ever had in your life is better than the best ham sandwich and ham and cheese or whatever you want to put on ham. The best peanut butter and jelly is better than the best ham you've ever had.
You know what? This just might be, not just might be, this is definitely going to be the country in me talking, because when you said ham and cheese sandwich, this light came up inside of me. I can remember the first one I ever had at Sonic when they used to serve it on the big hoagie buns. I thought it was the greatest sandwich that had ever been invented. And my grandmother used to make a fried ham and cheese sandwich that was so good. Nothing against PB&J, but I've had some ham and cheese sandwiches that like put memories in my soul. And I've never had a PB&J do that. I'm going ham and cheese all day, Catch. All day.
Let's bring Brian in. I got a game of hotter then. And if he wants to answer the PB&J versus ham sandwich, he can as well.
Okay.
But my hotter then, because I don't want him to sit there and wait.
No, here we go. Let's bring Brian in. Brian, how are you, sir?
Tired as hell. Just got off an airplane and got to go right back to New York tomorrow. But it's all good, baby. Good conversations. I want to jump in on all this shit, especially.
Well, what's your sandwich?
Government cheese, pressed ham on some light bread. And that ain't none of that diet bread. We call white bread light bread. Give me that with some Miracle Whip. Oh, I don't want no real mayonnaise.
You just grossed me out.
Miracle Whip or some sandwich spread.
Brian, there's so many reasons why we might have been just separated at birth. I don't know what it is about us people that were raised on Miracle Whip. We gross everybody else out, but you cannot change our minds on Miracle Whip.
Dude, it's got a little sweetness to it. Just a hint, just enough.
Hey, you know what real mayonnaise doesn't make you do, Catch? Real mayonnaise doesn't make your hand do this. Miracle Whip makes your hand do that.
You guys, the thing is, like, you know how your dog walks by and you know I can't leave my plate nearby because the dog might get it? Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a heavy guy. So if you had a sandwich sitting out, you might go, can I trust that Catch won't eat my sandwich if I just leave it on a table unattended? Yes, you can be rest assured that you can leave that nasty ass ham sandwich on that table and there could be no food in the house for a week. And I would starve before I'd put that nasty ass sandwich in my mouth.
You are an elitist.
That's
you
right.
are an elitist from here on, buddy. Ain't nothing wrong with Miracle Whip. Hell with Hellman's and Duke's Mayo and all these other mayos.
All of it.
Give me some Miracle Whip.
Just put some mustard on that bad boy. Now we're talking.
I'll take some mustards too. Give me some mustard, yeah, and Miracle Whip. So
look, here's my hotter then to end buy or sell before we get into important football conversation.
Yes,
exactly. I wanted to co-sign what Chad was saying too about the owner of our favorite NFL football team, because he went all Longshanks on them guys. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's embarrassing, Brian. That's
Yeah,
embarrassing for him to do that.
He did what Mac Brown tried to do to me on 3 occasions. I'm like, dude,
Exactly.
really? Come on.
Yeah, and so
Unreal.
Brian, when Ketch brought it up to me earlier in the week, he asked me how I would have reacted, and he said in the end I would have backed down and taken it, and I ultimately said bye because I would have done that, but I would have hoped that the Brian Jones in me could have come alive, and I could have said, you know what, Jer, if you want to find somebody else, you find somebody else.
Dude, how many times did Mac Brown say, I'll call Red McCombs up and fire everybody over there at that radio station? I mean, like, what the fuck, dude? Really?
All right, so here's my hotter than to end by yourself.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like both of you are children of this era, so you'll have an answer. And I feel like we've probably done this before, but I don't know what the answer is, so I'm going with it.
Okay.
It's prime on prime, so you pick whatever version of either of these two women and go with it however you want to. But Linda Carter as Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Hotter than Catherine Bach as Daisy Duke.
Ooh.
Yes. Give me.
I was gonna say, put your hands together.
Lindsay, both were tall, so I like the
Both were
tall
wonderful.
variety. Lindsay Carter, I tend to gravitate to the brunettes, so I'm going with Lindsay Carter. And she got. Yeah, but Lindsay's was a little darker, and she had superhero powers.
I understand that, Brian, but you got to separate the superhero powers here. Here's what I'm doing. This is me. I'm going to lean into my Miracle Whip side and my country side, and I'm going to the Boar's Nest. I'm going to sell, and I'm going Catherine Bach as Daisy. I get the shorts. I get that look. She could have kicked anybody's ass halfway through every episode, and she's driving that Jeep. I'm going to go Daisy.
Lindsay Carter had on some gold Daisy Dukes. They were just fancy superhero Dukes.
Look, both of them had high-level short game. I'm not saying the shorts game was bad. She was, again, queen of the Amazons. I'm not saying it's a bad. She's incredible. I would lean Daisy, though. Just a little bit.
Right.
The way Barb's wants BJ, you specifically to know that he had pressed ham with cheese and mustard, but upgraded to Kraft American, no singles. Only thing missing was aluminum foil on my soda can.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. How did that work, by the way? Why was it, guys, when we were I can remember being in second grade, first ever field trip. We went to the Fort Worth Zoo. My mom wrapped a Coke or something in aluminum foil. And I swear to you, we got on that bus at, 8 in the morning, and it was 12:30, and it was hot at the zoo, and I swear it was ice cold when I
That's why. They know. That is why. That was the cooler before we could afford a cooler.
It really is the best
that
cooler.
Reynolds wrap around it.
It's like Chris Rock and was it Windex? Well, no, Robitussin. It's like Chris Rock with Robitussin fixes everything, or or the Greek wedding that sprayed Windex on everything. Like, it just works. I don't know why it works,
baby.
But it works.
Brian, how have you been feeling this week, basking in the glow of a 31-point beatdown of the Sooners?
Man, it was funny because we were on site at SC Penn State, and they had pushed our set off the corner of the end zone up against the wall, and we have monitors over there. So I'm supposed to be watching the action on the field. I'm over there leaning up, watching the monitor, and I'm watching it on my phone, and that signal kept going haywire because of everyone else and their cell phones in the vicinity, but loved it. Loved every minute of it. Wasn't surprised that Ewers, as we discussed last week, a little rusty when he came out the gates, but picked up the pace, and they thoroughly whipped their ass and gave them the headache that they deserve. And Mr. Billy Bowman, as I've been saying all week, that ass whipping was earned. Texas earned it, and you are ridiculous for saying they did not. How do you give up 34 straight points and then say, oh, they didn't earn it? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? I mean, really? As I said on our Tuesday show, let me help you with this acceptance. It's kind of like jumping in the cold water. The quicker you do it, the sooner you recover.
No.
So hopefully that will help your ass take that ass whipping and move on down the road. So I guess he didn't earn that pick he got, That
he
wayward
definitely
throw
didn't
by-
earn that pick.
Right. Okay. So maybe he got confused, and that's what he was referencing, because Texas put the beat down on them, and for him to say they didn't earn it is just stupid, idiotic on his part.
So Brian, you've obviously had a chance over the last few years to see Georgia when they were all kinds of levels of Georgia. So going into this game, Ketch and I are both picking Texas to win. I'm picking them by a touchdown. Ketch is picking them by 10. Would you agree with our assessment, or do you think there's something we might be missing here? How do you think?
I like both. No, I'm with you, and here's the reason why. This isn't the dominant Georgia defense we've seen in the past. You're giving about 120 on the ground, almost 200 via the air, and if Mississippi State can post 31 on your ass between the hedges, this offense here at Austin should be able to do at least that much. And with the Texas defense playing as well, couple of great stats, and you probably heard this throughout the week too. One, Texas has already made history in the SEC, 250 plus points on offense through 6 games, and less than 38 allowed on defense through 6 games. No SEC program's ever done that through their first 6 ball games. So history made there. And what's really stands out to me is 8 turnovers by this Texas offense through these 6 games. 0 points. 0 points they have allowed
and
on
Brian,
those turnovers.
And to add to it, Brian, half of them were in their own territory.
Half were in their own damn territory, and they stopped them. So I love the way they're playing it. And what I really like, the move they made on defense, and you guys will remember a couple weeks ago, I told you my new favorite linebacker was at number 18. They put his ass in there at starting. They let Anthony Hill do what Anthony Hill does. Move him around. Just sick him. And you ain't got to tell him sick him twice. He knows how to get after him. Move his ass around with all that speed and athleticism. He can make plays all over the field. 11 tackles. I mean, he was a couple of sacks, forced fumble. He was all over the place the other day. So I love that move on the defensive side of the ball. So I just like where they're playing. This will be, though, the best passing offense they will have seen all season. And I've been singing the praises of the secondary. So now they've got their work cut out for them. Let's see if they can hold up against Carson Beck. But again, defensively, Georgia is not the dominant defense. Offensively, they're not running the ball like we've seen them do in the past either. So I think Texas can win this ball game. Georgia's going to be desperate. They already have that one loss. They don't want to. I get it. But this is a damn good Texas team, and they should hold up well. I was thinking about it. I said, maybe this is like 2 years ago when Bama came here. No, Georgia's not that dominant as that Bama team was on defense. And this Texas team is better than that Texas team that almost knocked off Bama. So they're going to bring that same energy. They're more explosive than they were in that ball game. And this offensive line, man, they will have their work cut out for them. There's some big boys up front, but they face some big boys there at Michigan as well. And everyone's trying to now take a little shine off of that game because of what's happened to Michigan. They have lost 2 ball games, but no, I won't let them. This is a damn good team, and Texas is deserving of applause for going to Ann Arbor and winning there and what they've done since. So, yeah, I'm with you guys. 7 to 10 points. You know me, Chad. It can be 1-0. I just want a W. But I think Texas can handle Georgia, but it'll be a hell of a contest, and this is to be the biggest contest they will have faced all season.
Yeah, just remember, Brian, it's not Canadian football. You got to go 2-0. You can't just have 1. What do you mean? What are you doing?
I can't go 1.
You can't. They won't give you 1 point by itself. Come on now. You know what, Brian? You have been around Big Ten games a little too much this year. If you think they'll give you just 1 point,
that's funny.
I've been watching Iowa too much.
That's it. The Iowa effect. Yeah. Oh, they can just have 1 and we get out of here. No, that's not how it works. No.
Brian, I'm curious. We look at what Quinn did a week ago, and afterwards, it's pretty easy to kind of chalk it up. We probably should have expected the idea that a guy could come back rusty. That it makes sense from your just football background self. When you saw a guy at any position on the field, but maybe especially quarterback, could you take it to the bank that the next week that wouldn't still be a problem? When you see a guy with rust, is typically the 1 game enough, or is there ever a concern that it takes more time for a guy to settle back into the type of rhythm that Texas will need Quinn to be in on Saturday.
That's the optimum word there, rhythm, because every game vibrates on a different frequency. So he's going to see a faster defense this week. He's going to see and I don't take anything against OU. I told you guys a week ago, I like their defense. Their defense is fabulous, but Texas tore them up, especially with the running game as well, and Wisner and Blue. So he shouldn't be as rusty going into this. And even though this is a totally different scheme and defense, he should come out a lot better, out of the gates a lot better, a lot faster than he did last week. You need live game reps, man. You can try to simulate that stuff as much as you want in practice until you get out there and those guys know what they're doing and they know how to do it that you're opposing. That's totally different than that scout team trying to run your opponent's concept. So I don't foresee him being as rusty in that first quarter as he was a week ago. So no, to answer your question, I think he should come out and he should be on point.
Brian Jones, CBS Sports, joining us. By the way, let's give him a little pub here. 2:30 over on CBS Sports Network. You got Navy and Charlotte if you want to check it out. And Brian, you can give some advice to a team that's going to have to go hang in the champagne room. You've had some experience yourself. Michigan at Illinois is the 2:30 CBS game. Give me a thought real quick on, can Illinois keep this thing rolling?
Chad, did you know this?
Oh, Sugar Poppy's telling it. Vicks is the Mexican Robitussin. I like.
Yep. Put it on. You put it on your chest. You put it underneath your nose, your nostrils. Man, that Vicks. Grandma had that too.
Okay, I just didn't know that
that
the
was
Mexican
the elixir.
populace had taken the claim of Vicks over. I didn't know that.
Sugar Pop.
Yes.
Hey, Sugar Poppy. My grandmothers and great grandmothers, they had one. I'm so way back. Ours was Camphofenique. Y'all remember Camphofenique?
Boom.
My great grandmother. My great grandmother and grandmother was Camphofenique and Misotracin. Those are the two things. If you can't fix it with Camphofenique, Misotracin, duct tape, or WD-40, we're going to the hospital.
Did you have the monkey blood?
No, we didn't do monkey blood. We didn't do the monkey blood thing.
Dude, I got a scar on my right leg playing at my friend's house. Any other person would have sent your ass to the emergency room. They put some monkey blood on my leg. Then they sent me. They was like, wait a minute. You need to go to the emergency room. No, that ain't going to cut it. But that monkey blood, boy, a little hydro peroxide and then some monkey blood. That was it. That's all you got. And then if they had to cut it off, they cut it off. That was your ass.
Monkey blood damn near saved that kid that night. That was unbelievable.
I wonder if they'll make that.
I don't know.
I'd love to see some monkey blood, boy.
I don't know, dude.
Anyway.
That's a different kind of country that I was growing up with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
and Chad, thanks for bringing up my demons, man. I'm glad I gave up that champagne and that tequila. If I had that money back, damn. All the educations I subsidize. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
You know how dangerous a champagne room can get. What's Michigan in for, Brian?
Well, I'll say this. Jack Tuttle, they're on their third quarterback, and he was playing well until his ass fumbled in the red zone and then threw a pick late in their last game 2 weeks ago at Washington. But they got that running game and Mullins and Edwards. Defense is dang good. Josiah Stewart tops the charts, along with a few others in the Big Ten in the sacks department. I think Michigan's going to win this game, but Altmaier, the transfer from Ole Miss a couple years ago, he has been playing lights out. 14 touchdowns, only one interception. There's only one other guy at the FBS level that has as many touchdowns and that few interceptions, and that's Alonzo Barnett III. And I think he got all 14 of those touchdowns versus North Carolina when they posted 70 on Max Ass. So Altmaier's been playing, and he's the reason they won last week. They were up 24-3 versus Purdue, and Purdue came all the way back, took the lead, and then Altmaier just took over, man, and threw some darts, threw some beautiful passes in that ball game. They ended up winning in overtime. What'd I say, Cash? What happened?
No. It's nothing that you said. This is the thing that got me laughing.
We've turned into it's home remedy day. Sugar Poppy, $2.
No.
My grandpa used
Ajax?
as
No.
soap.
No.
That's good. Oh, they call that cleanliness, boys. That's how you get clean.
Anyway, listen, I'm gonna go with Michigan in this ball game. You give up 49 to Purdue. Michigan, a week off. Tuttle should have a better handle on this offense. If he just stays away from the turnovers, I think they can win this ball game. You know, they're celebrating. This is the Gray Ghost, the Red Grange game. 100 years of that stadium there in Champaign. So they're gonna have some funky helmets, which really look pretty cool, some throwbacks. But I'm gonna go with Michigan.
All right, there you go.
For the record, because I had never heard of monkey blood before.
Really?
I Googled it.
Yep.
It's merbromin, which says, according to Wikipedia, this is really interesting. It's used as a topical antiseptic for minor cuts and scrapes, and as a biological dye. Readily available in most countries, it is no longer sold in Switzerland, Brazil, France, Iran, Germany, Denmark, or the USA due to its mercury content.
Oh,
that's why Brian's beard grayed up so quick. Okay. That makes a lot of sense now.
That's why I'm so cuckoo. I'm blaming it on the monkey blood. Listen, therapist.
Blame it on.
We know what happened. It was the monkey blood. Okay.
The monkey blood did it. Oh my God. People have jumped in. Randy jumped in with the oily, the Camphor. The stuff was good for chiggers. Oh my God, you're right about that. I do remember that. And yeah, it was good for chiggers, Randy, and everybody in my family.
Wait. You're gonna have to explain chiggers.
Chiggers, like when you get like it's a little bug, then it like bites you and it itches like crazy, and there's like a little red spot. You never had a chigger bite?
That's too close to another word. No.
It is, Brian.
No. Don't you do it. Brian Jones, don't you get me in trouble. Don't you do it. You damn near got me beat up by Mark Henry back in the day. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do it. Good grief.
So what happened to him? The boy had the chiggers.
Otherwise known as berry bugs.
Thank you.
Berry bug.
There's
just call it that. I like that better than the chiggers.
There was nothing that itched more than that bite, and there was nothing that helped it more than the Camphor Finique, which all the old ladies in my family called it Camp on the Creek. That's what we put on it. And Brian, okay, now I've never heard of this. Somebody says their grandmother would rub an egg on me and said a prayer when I got sick.
Oh, you in a coat. He's in a coat.
Hey,
he's on there with Jim Jones.
South KMX, was there a jar of clear liquid and a rattlesnake nearby? Like, where did you grow up? What is happening?
Brian, I want you to know that I Googled the word chiggers, which I try not to say that a whole lot. Like,
thank you.
In general. Will it surprise you to know that there's a Texas A&M website? Texas A&M AgriLife Extension that has a full breakdown on specifically the chigger species in Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my people, y'all. We are connected to the planet and all of the flora and fauna. We know all of it. We run the whole show on that.
And Brian, they use that word on this page as much as possible.
Oh,
I bet they do. Yes.
How dare you?
And Chad is claiming it. Yep.
I don't know what
I hope they catch the chiggers in Stark Vegas this weekend.
Every sentence. It's just, why they gotta say it 5 times in every sentence?
I'm gonna use that this weekend on the air. I would say, man, they got the chiggers.
Oh, Brian,
listen, I said we had Notre Dame and Purdue, and Notre Dame whipped them.
Brian.
I said there was a whole lot of chitty and no bang bang. And I thought everybody was gonna fall out, man. You remember the movie Chitty Bang Bang, right?
Oh yeah.
They had no idea. They were like, What did he just say?
I'm just saying, it's funny, of all of the things that you've said in your life, if you go on to CBS on Saturday and say chiggers, you are done.
No, I'm not.
Nobody's going to know what the hell
burrows into your skin, right?
You're going to get a bunch of, what did you say?
That's
just
right.
like you did. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, what?
Hey, be careful, Brian. Don't let them RG3 you, man. Just be careful. Be careful. By the way,
go ahead.
Hey, speaking of the Aggies, y'all tell me what you think of this prediction. I feel like S. Roan's making a kind of a point here. He likes 77-0, just like OU did to the Aggies.
No, actually, Mississippi State's playing better. I mean, 31 on the road. It'll be interesting. I almost picked that as my upset, Chad, because you guys are coming off a bye. You're feeling good about yourself. You're going on the road. You got to treat it like it's a business trip.
Yeah, and you know what Starkville can be sometimes. The Aggies were real bad last time they went there. I told Catch earlier, I thought they win by around, I think they can win by around 10. I'll be thoroughly impressed if they carry that number. And it's at 16.5 now.
Yeah.
I'll be thoroughly impressed if the Aggies win that by 17 or more.
I would agree. And just tell Elko, don't push any opposing players like Kirby Smart did last week. Don't shove any guys running over to your sideline. Did y'all see that, Kirby Smart?
Yes.
Quarterback, Mississippi State. And then to say, I don't remember. Motherfucker, you remember how you got shoved the hell? You down there shoved him into the stands, and then to say I don't remember. Come on, man.
You're a head coach. You're a head coach in the SEC, and you don't remember shoving the opposing quarterback during a game, right?
Yeah. Right. You were wearing red that day.
How are you supposed to remember?
Come on.
Maybe Coach was suffering from chiggers.
Sugar Poppy.
Well, according to Sugar Poppy, you rub the egg over the body. And then you crack it into a glass, which I don't know how you do that if you've already rubbed it on your body.
Well, no, he's saying
the whole egg you rub over your body, then you crack it.
It's a pre-roll.
We ain't wasting no food on your sickness, motherfucker. You just gonna die.
You roll the actual uncracked egg over your body.
Hey, we know you're sick, but Granddad's still gonna eat. Granddad still wants his scrambled eggs.
Exactly.
That is smart. Okay, Sugar Poppy, I'm going to try that. Next time I'm sick, I'm going to roll the egg all over, and then we're going to crack the egg, and that casts out the bad vibes that make you.
Do you crack the egg on your body?
We are so far off the rails. No, you just rub the egg.
You crack the egg.
Rub it, and then you crack the egg where? In the skillet? On the glass, and then what? Drink
whatever you need to do. If you're Rocky, you put it into a glass and just drink it.
That's what I was saying. You gonna go Rocky on us or what? We ain't wasting no egg, motherfucker. We ain't wasting no food on your ass.
How did no one hold Smart to the heat in the press conference? That's a good question, Vivek. I've said all week he needed to be punished. Sankey needed to put out a statement. Like, they got to do something. Fine him. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, he said, I didn't know. You knew. The dude's wearing white, man. Come on. How you not know you? Whatever. Anyway, how about we just shove his football team around when he gets here to Austin? We'll pay him back for Mississippi State.
There it is.
How about that? All right, I got to do this. Shameless plug.
Yes.
So me and my business partner collaborated with a designer in New York. Okay. These sweatshirts are about to drop.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
Yes. And that's our mantra. The winning tradition of the University of Texas will not be entrusted to the weak nor timid. So these are going to be at the co-op this weekend.
Ooh.
I'm looking at my booty.
Too late.
With the big old UT on the back.
Hey, boss, you still got some ass left.
You got a little bit? Yeah, he didn't get it all. We still got a little ass left.
So go pick up one, man. These are really, really cool. We got a lot of good feedback. So they're dropping. They should drop tomorrow at the University Co-op.
So should be at the co-op this weekend when people go in. And what do they need to be looking for in terms of the brand or the tag or anything?
It's called Snow Milk is the brand.
Snow Milk.
Real snow milk.
Okay.
But you can't miss them. Ain't nothing out there like this, baby.
I was going to say, it makes a statement. The statement is being made. I like it. I like it, Brian. Because it's not like I always get upset when the logo is it's small, or it's like they're gonna hide it over here. Let's just put it small on the left breast. No, make it big, make it go everywhere. That's fine.
Go big or go home, baby.
I don't know what's happening anymore, but Super Poppy wants, why do you think we all have chickens in the backyard?
Oh,
that's it. It's because they're healing all the wounds. They're healing all the sickness. Chickens have the eggs, roll the egg on the body, crack the egg, eat the egg, bad spirits gone. Well done, Sugar Poppy. Well done. Well done.
Oh, my goodness. Y'all are nuts.
I might try that egg thing next time I have a chigger bite instead of camp on the creek. It might work better. You never know.
But you waste no food. You better drink that egg after you crack it.
Thing is, I'm glad you guys told me, because the next time I get anything at all, I was cracking the egg open and just rubbing the yolk all over my leg.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I had that dumbass image in my head too. I'm like, are they rubbing huevos rancheros all over grandma? What the hell is going on over there?
I was like, how am I supposed to get the egg back in the glass if I've rubbed it all over my leg? I don't know.
And how long do you keep it on your leg? I mean, do you immediately shower or just have to sit there 5-10 minutes?
Oh.
What's up?
Bobby, you're wasting the egg. You're wasting it. What are you doing? That's funny.
And do you put the whole egg, or just you just use the yolk, or you use all of it?
Glyphir for $2. No, we are not taking Penn State plus 1,200 for the Natty.
Oh, for the Natty. Hey, that boy Tyler Warren, that tight end. Oh my good, he put on a show. As I said Tuesday, that's the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude, because he was snapping the ball, he was catching it, they were handing it off to him, he was throwing passes. I was like, this dude is Tropic Thunder.
Wait a second. You went Tropic Thunder on CBS television?
Yes. Yes. How could you not? Yes.
Oh, God. I really hope
man.
I
said from now on, we refer to him as his dudeness. His Lebowski, baby. His dudeness.
Oh, if you can work the Jeffersons theme song in and maybe a little "What do you mean, you people" this week, that would be fantastic.
I'm okay. Chiggers, the Jeffersons, and what do you mean, you people?
Oh my God,
Barb's. I don't understand. Barb says for an earache that his mom would roll up the newspaper and stick it in his ear and then light the other end.
Wow.
What?
Oh.
I don't. And look,
it had to be a small paper. I mean, just a little piece. You stick.
Sugar Poppy's right, by the way.
What?
We need a Mexican on the show.
We need Sugar Poppy on the show. Is what we need, apparently.
Sugar Poppy, you are talking your way in with the chicken jokes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man.
Yep.
He's
my man's right here,
and teaching us self-help therapy all at the same time.
There's education going on at the same time.
Always. Come on. Anytime you're dealing with Chad, you're going to get educated, folks. Come on. I learned a long, long time ago, early 2000. That's why I'm a little smarter now than I was. Oh, my goodness.
Come on,
what's
Sugar
up,
Poppy?
my chiggers?
I'm just trying to share a story of like back in the day in the country, and Brian accuses me of things. What is going on?
Somebody, you see that? What's up, my chiggers?
Come on, man.
Y'all are nuts, boy.
Just when you think the Brian Jones segment in this show can't get any weirder, this one might have gone over the
It's not his fault. That's the thing. This time it's not Brian's fault.
It's not Brian's fault.
He's been a willing participant, but none of this is his fault. And so, a lot of times
I bring up monkey blood. Next thing you know, we're talking about chiggers.
No, monkey blood was the most normal thing about this whole interview. I mean,
which I had to look up on Wikipedia just to know what you guys were talking about.
Now you know the kind of weird crap Brian and I used to sit around radio stations talking about back in the day.
Stupid news.
Stupid news. That's
hey,
right.
Chad, one of the best. And my buddy, Dr. Tony, up in Tyler, Texas, always brings it up. Remember the dude that killed his wife and wrote a letter to her? I think he was in London. killed his wife, and then wrote a letter. And you asked me, what do you think the letter said? I said, bye, bitch. Like, I mean, what else? I'm sure it wasn't too long, right? Couldn't have been lengthy.
You're sure it wasn't like a 2-paragraph letter?
Right. It was just
short,
bye,
sweet.
We used to have some crazy stuff, boy.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that. I think I fell out of the chair when you said that one. Oh, my God. All right.
I can just say that if I killed my wife and then wrote her a letter and mailed it to her, shit might be 10 pages. I'd have some stuff to say.
Because you feel like you need to fully explain what
Right.
No, get off my chest, you know?
Uh-huh.
I got stuff to say. One last goodbye.
This is why you deserve the knife wound.
Now what?
You'd be like Ross on Friends, 18 pages, front and back. You just keep going. We would keep going. $2.
This is why I shot you 8 times. Okay. What the fudge? Who does that?
This is why. Shot 1 was for year 3. When all right. Okay. Fair enough.
Y'all are crazy, man.
Incredible value proposition for your viewers. The Penn State it is value. It is value. If you like the plus 1,200 or whatever that was. Sugar Poppy, thank you so much for adding to the show. Catch
How about last year? I gotta go. I'm done with you, motherfucker.
Okay.
Listen, that Oregon-Ohio State game.
Mm-hmm.
The dude, the transfer from Alabama, Holden, the receiver, spits on the guy.
Yeah.
I would still be whipping his ass. We both would have been kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
Because you just don't do that. You just cannot spit on people. What the fuck was wrong with him?
It's the most disrespectful thing, right?
Yeah.
One of the most disrespectful things you could ever do to a person.
And Brian, the self-control of that other player, I watched the replay 3 times and I'm like, how did he not flip out? And he kept it. I mean, he was chill.
They would have been kicking both of us out of the scene because I would have been beating his ass all the way through that tunnel. They wouldn't have had to escort him. I would have escorted him. Ain't no way you going to spit on me, man.
I have one last quick question. I don't even need the story. In all your years in the NFL, did you ever have a teammate or an opposing player wait for somebody after the game based on something?
Oh, no. I played on some bad teams. Wasn't nobody waiting on nobody. We were like, let's get the fuck out of here and go get high.
Champagne room.
Yeah, we had no reason to wait on anybody. No, man. Shit.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Oh my God.
We was waiting on some wins. That's about it. The wins gonna show up.
We're waiting on a win. Brian, it is always a pleasure, sir. I wore the Maxine shirt for you today to remind you that we got to go get those frog legs sometime. So let me know.
We got to do it, man. I hopefully in the near future, because you had me salivating when you sent me that picture. But I'm gonna get the fried variety. But I thank you. Let them know. We're gonna have to give them advance notice.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna go to work on them damn frog legs. So I hope they have a surplus. All right.
We'll call ahead.
Call ahead. Stock up. Have enough in your inventory so we can go to work. We're gonna sit a spell.
We're gonna sit a spell and eat some frog legs at some point.
Nobody say the C word on the way out. Let Brian leave in peace.
Yeah.
Nobody. What did it say? Nobody saying
the C word. You know.
No.
Sugars.
Yeah. Don't.
Oh my God. Brian, enjoy the weekend. Do not get yourself in trouble on our account on CBS television, but we'll be watching.
Hook 'em. Love you guys. Be safe.
Later, Brian. You're giggling. You're literally giggling.
Oh God, I love that man. I just don't know what else to say. Like, how do you not enjoy every day?
Jamie had a super chat. Did we miss something?
We may have. Well, let's see. Let's double check.
I'm going back. I'm just making sure.
We got the proposition. The only one we missed catch was this earlier. Somebody asked about a tailgate. Is there an OB tailgate on Saturday?
There's not. But MB Horn fans, one of our posters on Orange Bloods has a tailgate, and I'm sure he'd love to see it.
There you go. There you go,
Oh.
Sugar Poppy.
Who, Jamie? I guess this was it, right?
We missed out. Shout out, BJ. You were looking fly in that suit and tie Saturday. Give Anwar.
Damn.
Jeez, Jamie.
Jamie, if Anwar's watching right now,
see, Anwar always looks sharp.
Yeah, he's got some fighting words there.
Yeah, and that's one of those weird compliments, Catch, where you're complimenting one person, but you end up insulting the other person on another side. It's like, you didn't need to do that. I mean, give him a. It's like people used to walk up to us at like radio stuff, and they would tell Brian, like, Brian, I didn't like you at the beginning, but I like you now. I've always liked Chad, but I didn't like at the beginning. And it's like, why'd you need to say it that way? Just tell him you like him.
I'm just keeping my mouth shut on everything that's happened today. But Jareth, we agree. We also look forward to Thursdays. Brian is always amazing. I will just simply say again, today he was like the voice of reason.
Oof, man. Catch, I'm gonna tell you.
We're all in a group, and Brian is the voice of reason. What's happening?
Yes, exactly. I'm telling you, Brian was the most normal part of that interview. Really. It wasn't his fault. That wasn't his fault today.
And I have a feeling he might say the C word on Saturday.
Yeah, he might do it.
He might not be able to help himself.
Catch, I can still see, I mean, the feeling, I can still feel it. The feeling of watching Mark Henry walk into a restaurant when you aren't sure if he really thinks you're a racist or if he just thinks Brian's crazy, but he's walking towards you. And there's a couple tables between the two of you, but you realize if Mark Henry wants to mess me up, he's about to mess me up.
Look, all I'm telling you is Mark Henry picked me up over his head once with such ease. Yeah. I felt like a little bitty person.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I've never felt smaller as a human being than to have another man lift me above his head, and not like oppress either. Like he just had me up in the air any way he wanted me. And you just realize, oh man, I'm just a speck of dirt in the earth right now.
Yeah. The first time I saw Mark walk into a studio where Brian was standing, I realized, oh, wow, he can make Brian Jones look normal sized.
It's
because Brian Jones back then Brian was big and still looked like he could play. And Mark Henry walked in and was like, oh, never mind.
There are different types of men in this world.
No doubt.
Mark Henry is one of them.
Yeah, shout out to the world's strongest man. If you're out there, Mark, maybe checking out the show, maybe you're going to be headed over to DKR. Mark's a big Longhorn fan. I know he's going to be excited about this one, Texas and Georgia. All right, Catch, before we get out of here, you got anything else we need to hit?
Mark could still lift the Undertaker over his head, right? Just with ease.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I think he could. I got no doubts. No doubt.
I know that's the scary thing. How old will he be when he will no longer be able to do that?
86.
I was going to say, I had an 80 number in my head.
Mark Henry could Rey Mysterio lawn dart me about 20 yards today, probably. He could pick me up and throw me, and I bet I would travel a good 5 to 10 yards.
But when he's 70, he'll still be able to legit lift.
Yep.
A grown-ass man over his head.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of power doesn't just go away. No. It's just like, Nolan Ryan at a certain point can still bring some heat. Mark Henry is going to be able to bring some fast twitch strength whenever you need it. Oh, wow. It's going to be incredible.
All right. I'm done. I'm good. We can wrap up.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and getting those notifications. And you definitely want to be around for Thursdays because Brian Jones will do that sometimes. Football with friends, if not sometimes, every time. Football with friends at 6 tonight. Old fashioned tomorrow morning at 9. And we will be back for a Friday show tomorrow at noon. Scottish guy before Texas and Georgia. Our final thoughts on the game. All your predictions that'll roll in. And we'll check that.
Scottish guy's got to hit us with some Skinnerd, right?
And we will. That's a good idea. And the and we will check. And we'll check the injury report tonight because remember it hits it's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. and then it's 90 minutes before kick time. So we'll check and see if there's any injury stuff to talk about tomorrow. Y'all have yourselves a good rest of your Thursday. Take care, and if you got any sicknesses, get yourself some Campho-Phenique or rub an egg on it or spray whatever you spray. We hope you come back tomorrow at noon. We are house divided.